Welcome back to my channel, Pocket Change Coins. If you're excited about finding hidden gems in your pocket change, you're in the right place. First, we're going to uncover some of the most valuable and rare US coins that could be worth a fortune. Let's dive in. We're talking about a coin so rare, so mysterious, and so desirable that it's often called the Holy Grail of American dimes. This is the story of the 1894 United States one-dime coin, a silver sliver of American history that's more than just money. It's a masterpiece studied at first glance. The 1894 dime doesn't look particularly unusual. It features the classic Barber design, named after its engraver Charles E. Barber. On the obverse, you'll see the bust of Liberty wearing a cap and a laurel wreath, while the reverse shows a wreath encircling the words, "one dime." It was simple, elegant, and practical. But what makes this coin one of the most coveted pieces in American coin collecting isn't its design, it's the mystery behind why so few were ever made. Let's step back to the late 19th century, a time when America was growing fast, industrially, socially, and economically. In 1894, something unusual happened at the San Francisco Mint. Only 24 dimes were struck that year. Not 24,000. Not 240,000. Just 24. And of those 24, only a handful are known to still exist today. Why such a tiny number were minted remains one of the great unsolved puzzles in U.S. coinage history. Some believe it was a special request from the mint superintendent to give as gifts to close friends and business associates. Others say it was an accounting anomaly, created to balance the mint's books at the end of the fiscal year. Still others speculate there may have been more made, but the rest were melted down shortly after. Whatever the reason, what's left is a ghost story in silver, a dime so rare that just seeing one in person is a once-in-a-lifetime event. The most famous story tied to the 1894 dime is about a banker who gave one to his young daughter, telling her to keep it safe, because someday it would be worth a lot of money. Like many children would, she spent it on a dish of ice cream. Imagine spending what would become one of the rarest dimes in U.S. history, for a scoop of vanilla. It's a bittersweet tale, but one that shows how even legends can begin with small, everyday choices. Today, the surviving 1894 dimes are fiercely protected and passionately sought after by collectors. Each time one appears at auction, it sets off a bidding war unlike anything else in the numismatic world. These coins aren't just currency, they're relics. Symbols of rarity, history, and wealth that make even seasoned collectors hold their breath. If you're wondering how to tell if you've got a coin this rare, the key lies in the mint mark. All known 1894 dimes with value have an S beneath the wreath on the reverse, standing for San Francisco. But be warned, fakes are out there, and experts have studied every genuine piece down to the finest detail. Authentication is a must, and if you ever think you found one, don't go running to the bank, go straight to a professional coin grading service. Now, let's talk value. This tiny coin, just 10 cents in face value, has sold at major auctions for life-changing sums. It's the kind of coin people dream of finding in an old family collection, tucked away in a drawer, or mistakenly passed down through generations without knowing its true worth. So how much is one of these treasures worth today? Hold on to your seats, because the last time one of these coins was sold in pristine, collector-grade condition, it reached an astonishing price of $200,000. Yes, that's $200,000 for a single dime, and remember, only a few of these coins are known to still exist. Some are in private collections, others in museums, and a couple are rumored to be lost to time. If one ever shows up again on the market, there's no telling how high the price could climb. This is why we love coins. Because every so often, something small, something most people would overlook, turns out to be a gateway into history, mystery, and unimaginable value. Second rare coin, we're diving into a dime that's small in size, but massive in history and value, the 1937 United States Mercury dime. This isn't just a coin, it's a symbol of American resilience, beauty, and yes, a potential jackpot for lucky collectors. Now, let's set the stage. Picture the United States in the 1930s. The country was clawing its way out of the Great Depression. Franklin D. Roosevelt was leading the charge with the New Deal, and Americans were beginning to feel a cautious sense of hope. In the midst of all this economic hardship and recovery, the U.S. Mint was still producing coins, pieces of metal that traveled through the hands of millions, quietly witnessing the struggles and triumphs of everyday life. One of the most iconic coins of that era was the Mercury dime. But here's the thing, despite the name, the coin doesn't actually feature the Roman god Mercury. The figure on the obverse is Lady Liberty, wearing a winged cap meant to symbolize freedom of thought. The design was so striking that people mistook her for Mercury, and the name stuck. The Mercury dime was the work of sculptor Adolph A. Weinman, who also designed the famous Walking Liberty half-dollar. The reverse of the coin is equally powerful, showing a fasces, a bundle of rods with an axe, symbolizing strength through unity, alongside an olive branch representing peace. It's a beautiful, compact reflection of America's values during a time of hardship and growth. Now, fast forward to 1937. The Mercury dime that year was produced at several mints, including Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Millions were struck, and most were used in everyday transactions, buying bread, newspapers, movie tickets. For the average American, it was just 10 cents, but like many coins, not all 1937 dimes were created equal. The value of a Mercury dime depends on a few key factors: its mint mark, condition, and in rare cases, minting errors. Most circulated examples from 1937 are only worth a few dollars. But if you've got one that was never spent, carefully preserved in mint condition, its value can rise dramatically. And if it happens to be one of the ultra-rare varieties or has a unique error, then you're stepping into serious collector territory. Some of the rarest 1937 Mercury dimes are those that remain in perfect, uncirculated condition, especially those with full bands, a grading term that refers to the clarity of the horizontal bands on the fasces on the reverse side of the coin. Collectors go wild for those details because they show the coin was struck with exceptional precision and hasn't been worn down by decades of handling. Even rarer are dimes with unusual minting errors, double strikes, off-center prints, or die breaks. These small imperfections from the minting process turn ordinary coins into one-of-a-kind treasures. And when that happens on a coin as beloved as the Mercury dime, you've got something incredibly special. Imagine pulling out an old jar of coins from your grandparents' attic, and tucked between nickels and quarters is a shiny 1937 Mercury dime with razor-sharp detail, original luster, and a story to tell. You'd be holding a piece of art, a slice of American history, and possibly a life-changing discovery. So just how much could a 1937 Mercury dime be worth? While most are worth pocket change, the rarest, highest-grade specimens, those in near-perfect condition with full bands and exceptional clarity, have gone on to command breathtaking sums at auctions. In fact, one extraordinary 1937 Mercury dime, preserved in such pristine condition and featuring full bands, was once valued and sold in the collector's market for an astonishing $350,000. That's right. $350,000 for a 10-cent coin from 1937. That's the kind of treasure that keeps coin hunters searching, keeps collectors dreaming, and keeps the thrill of numismatics alive. So here's your challenge: go check your old coin jars, visit local estate sales, flip through that box of keepsakes you inherited. You never know what might be hiding in plain sight. Because one small silver dime might just turn out to be a six-figure surprise. Third expensive coin, we're talking about the 1945 United States Mercury dime. It might be small in size and modest in face value, but don't let that fool you. One rare version of this coin is worth more than most cars, more than some houses, and maybe even more than your entire savings account. Now, to appreciate this incredible coin, we need to travel back in time. The year is 1945. World War II is coming to an end. The world is changing. The United States is emerging as a global power, and at home, people are celebrating the return of peace. This was a year filled with emotion, pride, and national unity. And in the midst of it all, the U.S. Mint was quietly producing one of the most iconic coins in American history, the Mercury dime. The Mercury dime, officially known as the Winged Liberty Head dime, was designed by renowned sculptor Adolph A. Weinman. It had been in circulation since 1916 and was admired for its artistic beauty. On the front, or obverse, of the coin, Liberty is portrayed wearing a winged cap, symbolizing freedom of thought. She was often mistaken for the Roman god Mercury, and that's how the nickname stuck. On the reverse, a fasces, an olive branch, represents strength and peace, an incredibly fitting message for the final year of World War II. The 1945 Mercury dime marked the final year of this beloved design. In 1946, the Mint replaced it with the Roosevelt dime in honor of President Franklin D. Roosevelt after his death. That alone makes the 1945 dime historically significant. It's the end of an era in American coinage. But there's more to the story, and this is where it gets truly fascinating. Most 1945 Mercury dimes were struck in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco, and millions were made. You can find many of them in coin shops and collections today, usually worth only a few dollars, maybe more if they're in pristine condition. But among all those millions of coins, there exists an extremely rare and unusual variety, one that has become a legend in the world of coin collectors. The coin in question is the 1945 Mercury dime with a full bands designation and struck at the San Francisco Mint. What does full bands mean? Well, if you look at the fasces on the back of the dime, you'll notice bands wrapped around the rods. When these bands are sharply and fully struck, with clear separation lines, they earn the full bands designation. This indicates a near-perfect strike from the Mint and is a sign of extraordinary detail. But why does that matter? Because a 1945 Mercury dime with full bands is one of the rarest Mercury dimes ever found. In fact, finding one in flawless condition is almost unheard of. Most dimes from that year, especially from the San Francisco Mint, were weakly struck. That's why a full strike, with every detail crisp and clear, is such a big deal. It's like discovering a rare gemstone in a field of pebbles. The rarity of this coin, combined with its historical importance and stunning design, makes it one of the most sought-after dimes in American numismatics. It's a true treasure, and if you happen to own one, especially in mint state condition with full bands, then you're not just holding a piece of history, you're holding serious value. So, how much are we talking about? For a regular circulated 1945 Mercury dime, you might get a couple of bucks, maybe $20 or $30 if it's in really good shape. But for that elusive, perfectly preserved 1945 Mercury dime with full bands, the value soars into the stratosphere. In fact, one of these exceptional coins has sold at auction for a jaw-dropping $300,000. Yes, you heard that right. $300,000. For a 10-cent coin. It just goes to show that history and value are hiding all around us. That little coin at the bottom of your drawer, the one that's been sitting in a jar for decades, might be a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. This is what makes coin collecting so thrilling. It's part detective work, part treasure hunt, and part time machine. So don't dismiss that old dime in your change pile. Take a second look. Grab a magnifying glass, learn the signs, and who knows? You might be the next person to stumble upon a hidden fortune. Last unique coin, we're going to take a closer look at a coin that has been in the hands of millions, but only a few lucky people have discovered just how valuable it can be. This is the story of the 1942 United States Mercury dime, a 10-cent coin that holds far more than just monetary value. It carries a legacy, a mystery, and for a very rare few, an incredible payday. Now, if you've ever come across a Mercury dime in your change, you might not have thought much of it. Maybe you noticed the beautiful design, maybe not. But trust me, after this video, you'll be looking at every single Mercury dime a whole lot differently. Let's step back into the early 1940s. The world was at war, and the United States had just entered World War II. American families were sending their sons to battlefields overseas. At home, the war effort meant rationing, working long shifts in factories, and pulling together in a way the country hadn't seen before. Through it all, coins like the Mercury dime quietly moved through the hands of millions, helping buy war bonds, groceries, postage, and the basics of life. The Mercury dime itself, officially known as the Winged Liberty Head dime, was first minted in 1916. Its designer, Adolph Weinman, crafted one of the most beautiful coin designs in U.S. history. The obverse features Liberty wearing a winged cap, symbolizing freedom of thought, while the reverse shows a fasces and olive branch, representing military strength and peace. It was a fitting design for such a turbulent time, but here's where the story takes an unexpected turn. In 1942, the Mercury dime was struck in massive numbers at 3 different U.S. mints: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. And for the most part, these dimes are common even today. You can find them in coin shops, online auctions, or maybe even in your family's old coin collection. Most are worth just a few dollars, especially in circulated condition. So what makes one 1942 Mercury dime so incredibly special? The answer lies in a mistake, a very small, very rare minting error that turned an ordinary coin into a legend. During the minting process in 1942, the U.S. Mint began preparing dies for the upcoming year, 1943. Somehow, a few dies were misengraved or overpunched, creating what collectors now know as the 1942-1 Mercury dime. Yes, you heard that right, it's an overdate. If you look very closely at the date on this coin, you can actually see the faint outline of a number 1 underneath the 2. That's because a 1941 die was accidentally reused and re-engraved for 1942, and the result was this fascinating overdate variety. It happened in both the Philadelphia and Denver mints, but the 1942/1 D from Denver is especially rare. These kinds of mint errors are like lightning in a bottle. They're not supposed to happen, and when they do, they instantly become numismatic gold. Collectors go absolutely wild for them. Now, identifying this rare overdate variety isn't always easy. It requires a close look, often with a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe. On the 1942/1 Mercury dime, you can spot the underlying 1 peeking out behind the 2. It's subtle, but unmistakable once you know what to look for. And when found in uncirculated or mint state condition, this coin is one of the most valuable Mercury dimes ever made. Why is it so valuable? Well, it's the perfect combination of factors: historical significance, a unique error, low surviving numbers, and the fact that it's hidden in plain sight. Most people wouldn't even know they had one unless they were looking for it. That mystery adds to its magic. So how much could one of these legendary Mercury dimes be worth today? Hold on to your seats, because one pristine, high-grade example of the 1942/1 Mercury dime has sold in the collector's market for a staggering $320,000. Yes, $320,000. For a coin that originally cost 10 cents. That's the kind of story that keeps people digging through old collections, searching through dusty jars, and inspecting every Mercury dime they come across. And who can blame them? The next one could be tucked away in an envelope, hidden in a box, or sitting unnoticed in a drawer. This is what makes coin collecting so thrilling. It's not just about money, it's about discovery, history, and the joy of uncovering something truly rare. That's what the 1942 Mercury dime represents. A piece of the past, a product of a mistake, and a potential windfall for the lucky few. So if you have any old coins passed down from your grandparents or hiding in your home, now is the time to take a closer look. And if you find a 1942 Mercury dime, examine that date carefully. You just might be holding a small fortune. Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey through time, value, and the unexpected. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and turn on that notification bell so you never miss another chance to learn about hidden treasures that could be right under your nose. Until next time, happy collecting, and keep your eyes open. The next big discovery might be sitting in your pocket right now.